My partner and I moved our family to Hamden in 2008. We chose Hamden because it was halfway between our jobs, it had a diverse population, and relatively good schools. We thought Hamden would be a good place to raise our children, so we bought a house and settled in. But after living in Hamden just a little while, I realized that yes, Black and brown people lived in Hamden, but Hamden was run like a whites-only club. This is a story about regular people running for office and using the power of the ballot to build a beloved community.
Early in the summer, nominating conventions are held.
Listen, voting is a powerful thing. And instead of using the power of the ballot for good, some people approach voting like it's just a game of tug of war, pulling and yanking that damn rope and digging our feet in the ground on opposite sides of the middle. And to the victor goes cheap trophies or plastic medals or silky ribbons. Mere trinkets in comparison to the rewards we will get if we look at voting as a divine assignment. You went canvassing, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that experience.
And you would ring the doorbell, and when and if they answered, you would inform them about how you should get out there and vote, not necessarily pushing them to vote for who you want them to vote for, but letting them know that, voting is an option and that when you do vote, it helps people.
Voter turnout is very low. It's disappointingly low. It is growing, thank goodness.
Yeah, but that's because you have younger people who are more capable of getting out to vote. And they did an incredible job. Yeah, we would be like, oh, we're going to have a phone bank.
Right.
We're going to sit and call people. I'm like, who are you going to? No. Nobody's going to answer the phone. 18 and 22-year-olds out there on their social media. They're on Instagram. They're on Facebook. They're on TikTok. They're making things, and they got signs, and they're out there, and they're marching. And, I mean, that's a beautiful thing,
They have knocked on hundreds of doors themselves, been rained on, been sunburned, been really cold out there and hungry, knocking on doors. They're remarkably progressive. I think they expect a lot from our society as far as how it treats people. They're just like, bring it on. We accept you in every way that you come.
Our youngest one, whenever we went out, she was at the DTC meetings. She canvassed with us. She's 13, and she's very smart, and she understands.
We definitely have an activist in the making with her.
What I know for sure is that when you expose children to this way of stepping in rooms, stepping in spaces, owning them, believing in yourself, and fighting for yourself, I know it makes a difference.
We went to a lot of Black Lives Matter protests. We learned about racism in the police department.
What is racism?
Treating people differently because of the color of their skin.
Because you've been at all these protests, has it influenced you to think a certain way?
It's made me realize that I should treat everybody with respect and be kind to everybody.
The Black Lives Matter movement is important to me because, half of my family is Black, my mother is Black, I'm half Black. So, it should be very important to a lot of people. For the most part, the people that I'm around are all very supportive of the Black Lives Matter movement and very supportive of the LGBT community. Of course, there are always the people that have their disagreements about the different things. Most of it is just ignorance, a lot of misinformation in the internet.
Well, how important like this in Hamden is?
From 1 out of 10, probably 11. I think it is very important for people to express how they feel and feel supported and feel at home.
I don't know about you, Hamden, but every time somebody sneezes in public, I'm ready to go home. We got Avery Sunshine, Big Dana, and Carolyn Malachi coming your way.
Joe told me that the boys learn to use a sewing machine. In his school, you just have to learn everything. It's pretty important for everybody to learn to sew, I guess. My sisters can make their own clothes, and I know it saves Mom and Dad money. There was one class, though, that the boys didn't have to take. Interpretive dancing. The girls liked it, though.
Is this the first woman mayor of Hamden?
No. There have been 2 women before me, a Democrat and a Republican, right after each other, but it's been a couple of decades. So it's definitely the first time in Hamden that we have had 4 women in powerful positions.
I remember running for office and winning office in New Haven. And the same questions that we're still asking women about children and home care. We never ask men these questions. Do you have to go pick up your kid at daycare?
That's right.
How is it juggling home and whatever?
My sisters would like it. I went to Joe's school, where the boys have to learn to set the table, too. Girls seem to like all that fussing better than boys anyway.
I hope that women will be judged by the policies that they write, by the words that they say, and less by the fact that we have these presumed gender roles that make it difficult for us.
Your mom was just elected to be mayor of Hamden. Mm-hmm. What do you think of that?
She's trying to change Hamden for the better. It's good, but she's like here only for like 30 minutes a day. But I'm willing to give my mom time because if there needs to be change in Hamden, it takes time.
Asked me if we can share the link on the specific association site. What association site?
When you are running for office, it's particularly challenging for women because women are supposed to be there for everything for their kids. I cannot let my responsibilities to the town slide. So sometimes the housework does slide, and sometimes a kid yells, I only have 1 more pair of boxers. But those don't have to be my obligations. We can share the workload. Those gender roles, they can't always be the big part of my life.
Councilman Weber?
Present.
Councilwoman Zaringer?
Present.
13 present, 2 absent.
Thank you so much. So I'm going to open up our meeting. But because we have...
I'm completely following my dreams. A part of my dream was to have a little baby with specifically Joe Baez. So when I'm at home and I'm in the meeting, it's my husband who's taking care of a baby and making us dinner. It's my mother-in-law, it's my father, it's my brother, and my mother, Nicole Jefferson. All these people step in to give a hand.
It's wonderful that I have a husband who is so supportive of me and is actively engaged in co-parenting in all sense of the word of co-parenting. The previous board was very contentious. It was always a battle. To even have the opportunity to speak. It was something as simple as going to meetings and seeing that all the women on the board would never be called on. Or were told that we had limited time to speak, or endlessly being interrupted. I was told I could not say certain things. I need to temper my language down a little bit. There was a sentiment of knowing your place.
We understand that this is a white male, dominant, driven society that we live in. And white women are empowered in ways that we're not, but they also suffer because they're women. But then Black women and brown women have the double-edged sword of showing up and not being able to camouflage who we are. As a Black woman who has a leadership role at the Capitol as the Labor and Public Employees Chair, I have to deal with men, in particular men from the other side of the aisle, and not to say none on my side of the aisle, but more so because they are intimidated. They don't like the fact that I have power and I know how to use my power, that I haven't chosen to give it back, that I've chosen to harness it and to use it to empower the people that sent me to that building. And it's a threat.
I have received hate mail. I have received nasty emails about me sent to the college president where I teach at Southern Connecticut State University.
I had people call my job to try to get me fired from work, which didn't work out so well because, again, I work for a state agency who's run by women, brown women. I was suddenly had to hire a lawyer to defend me against being accused of committing voter fraud in 2020. I mean, it was like all the stops were pulled out to try to get the Legislative Council not to confirm my appointment. It just speaks to the fear of what change and what Black leadership looks like in this northern white state in our country. They're not used to seeing Black females in positions of authority.
People don't always think of you as doing things for service. I think that it becomes a question of you participating in a power grab, perhaps, or trying to dominate folks. They see you get involved in politics in this way and think that you have a hidden agenda.
We just add so much value that, I don't want to be apologetic about that. I know how sometimes we try to dim our lights because we're trying to make space to not make people feel intimidated or to feel we're overly aggressive, or you're so passionate.
You can go ahead and call roll, Nancy.
Okay, Madam Chair.
I'm here.
We have Commissioner Doug.
Here.
Commissioner Lador.
Here.
Commissioner Willis.
Present.
Commissioner Dunn.
Thank you. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the January 25th, 2023 Special Police Commission meeting minutes? So moved.
I was appointed to the Police Commission, which was, the best clap back into the story at the end of the day. Yeah. The same police commission that wouldn't even take our calls or wouldn't even allow us to speak during meetings, I now chair it. So you see how that ends? You see how that ends when you don't give up?
It's work on that, okay?
It's work on that all day.
That's right. I go in the building that I'm in, I don't see a lot of Black women. And it's going to be our job to make sure that we're keeping the door open to bring more Black women in. I believe that a Black woman can lead Hamden. I know that a Black woman can bring all of her experiences to shape this town, to provide a vision for this town, to execute a plan for this town. I believe that the day that that Black woman decides that she wants it, she can have it.
The ideal of creating a beloved community isn't new. African Americans have been fighting for more equitable communities and the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness since we were enslaved. Black women were leaders and the voice that brought it all together. Mary Church Terrell was born September 23, 1863, in Memphis, Tennessee, to parents who had been born into slavery. Her parents became the wealthiest African Americans in the country. She graduated from Oberlin College in Ohio and dedicated her whole life to the fight for equality. Because Black women were discriminated against in the white women's club movement, Black women started their own organizations. Mary Church Terrell was a founding member of the National Association of Colored Women in 1896 and served as its first president. The motto was, "Lifting as we climb." Harriet Tubman and Ida B. Wells were also members. And Mary Church Terrell confronted white women, challenging them to not only fight for the rights of women, white women that is, but to fight for the rights of Black people. If they were truly about fighting oppression, then they must fight oppression in all of its forms.